to another episode of Living Life Out Loud with your girl, Size Speaks, a podcast and series of videos dedicated to how I'm living my life as I'm thriving and battling end-stage renal disease in need of a kidney transplant. I give you 20 minutes or less of hope, life, laughter, love, and overall dopeness. Today's podcast and video is going to be a little bit different than my usual happy, life is amazing podcast. Why? Because today is the day that we vote. Today is election day. Kudos to everybody who voted early. That's the option that I chose because of the state I live in. I knew that would be best for me. Kudos to those who voted early, and much prayer and love to those who are voting today. Now, I believe every election is important, especially our local elections. But this one, we are voting on the presidential candidates. And, we have two completely different candidates, right? I'm not going to tell anybody who to vote for or even who I'm voting for. I will say, I have seen so much strife, so much hatred, so much ignorance leading up to this day. And in all honesty, I'm really concerned that however the outcome may be, the backlash is going to be detrimental to the people, right? You have these candidates and these state reps saying and doing anything and everything downright disrespectful, reckless, and it's the people, it's you and I who deal with their consequences. They're not ever really held responsible for the weight of the words they spoke or the way they voted on particular issues. It is us, the people. And as I'm seeing this whole process unfold, it is very clear that we as the people, unfortunately some, I'm not going to say all, have put our destiny and our lives truly in the hands of these politicians without truly holding them accountable. And it's like, and bear with me. I try not to talk politics too often on my podcast. Why? Because it's about my journey as a kidney warrior. But as a kidney warrior, this particular election is very critical for me because one of the things that they're voting on is protecting people or not protecting people with pre-existing conditions. And your girl definitely has a pre-existing condition. So there are a series of health benefits that are life-altering for me. And one of the candidates is trying to do away with that. And the other is saying what he will not only keep, but what he will add. But the bottom line is they can and have said anything and everything to get in office, but once they get there, they sing a completely different tune. But as I was saying before, we as the people, we are allowing these people to make decisions on our behalf, and we're not holding them accountable. It's like we vote blindly, we vote based on our emotions, we vote based on our pockets, and that's it. But that's never the end of that story. Once these politicians get in office, we as a people still have a responsibility to make sure we hold them accountable to what they said they were going to do. Hold their feet to the fire. It's not over after the election. That's the easy part, getting them elected. The real work is when they're in office. What are they doing to honor those promises and those vows that they made when they were on the campaign trail? Now, it's just like a relationship, right? A new relationship. You're saying and doing all the right things. You're doing everything possible to make this man or this woman to fall head over heels with you. So you're going to wine and dine them. You're going to be charming. You're going to be the epitome of love and a gentleman and a wonderful woman. And sometimes once you get them, you slack off. But by then, you know that person's already into you, that they'll give you grace. They'll excuse your poor behavior or even your lack of effort because now the feelings are involved. And that's what's been this very dysfunctional relationship with the people, the constituents, and their politicians. They woo us. They say the right things. They're singing, dancing, doing all the little happy, playful stuff and get all in your heart and in your emotions. And you're just like, I just like him. But why do you like them? What are they doing to meet needs that better your life and your community? There's a lot of people I like that I wouldn't do business with. So, the same needs to be applicable to these politicians. Funny story. When I was a little girl, my grandmother was very vocal when it came to her local politicians. She would write a letter, she would call, she would go to the office. And I remember thinking as a little girl, my grandmother is, she is a force to be reckoned with, because I didn't understand that. It just seemed like she was not playing with these people. But as I got older and I began to appreciate the way the political system worked, I understood what she was doing. I have a degree in political science because, again, I really do like how the political system works. In theory, if we do it the way it's supposed to on paper, it's a fascinating machine. So they have this thing in place called checks and balances. That's why you have all these different branches of government, because everybody's supposed to kind of help each other stay honest. You know, my family on the paternal side is West Indian, and they always used to say, keep your hands on the table, meaning if your hand's on the table, my hand's on the table, I can see what you're doing and you can see what I'm doing. There's nothing under the table. It's no secret. So that's what the checks and balance was about, to keep everybody honest. Because if I can see what you're doing and you can see what I'm doing, if anything is outside of the norm or looks contrary to what we're supposed to accomplish, then we can correct that behavior. But there's a part to that piece that always gets overlooked. And it's the part that the constituents and the people play in the checks and balance game. We have a responsibility to not only make our voices heard during campaign time, but to keep being vocal as they're in office. You know, give the candidate and the then politician that you have elected time to do the work. But at least midway in, there should be some tangible evidence that he or she is working to accomplish what they promised they would do on this campaign trail. Now, I do understand that there's votes and things that take place, but you at least want to see that candidate, that your elected official is working towards fulfilling these promises. It's one thing to work towards it and see they're having opposition versus they're just not even trying because they're afraid of the opposition and they're just going with the flow of things. Because that's, again, we the constituents, we the people bear the weight of their voices, their actions, their votes, all that, and the lack thereof. So here we are. We are deciding, I have a theory about that, but that's a whole nother podcast. In theory, we are deciding on our next president. And there's a lot of feelings involved in this election, so much so that there's threats of violence and a civil war if their particular candidate is not reelected. And then there's also the threat of looting and protesting if a particular candidate is not voted in. So on both ends, there's threat of some type of retaliation. But it doesn't hurt the candidates. It hurts the people. It hurts the community. It hurts the neighborhoods. It hurts the small businesses and the big businesses in the community. So I'm not understanding why the people are failing to see that while you're allowing your emotions for two candidates who will not be impacted if you tear up your neighborhood, if you go out and harm your fellow brother and sister who have opposing political views from you. That's not showing love and loyalty. That's a sign of being a savage, and your mental capacity has been diminished because you can't even come to a rational adult decision to agree to disagree. Now, I'm not 100% sold on either candidates, but I did vote because I refuse to sit another election and just say, well, neither one is my candidate, because guess what? None of them jokers that have been in this office has been my candidate. All of them have said and done things that have not benefited me 100%. There have been some benefits, but totally none of these candidates have been my candidates. But I refuse to take the easy route out and not vote. I refuse to be a negative Nancy and sit on the sidelines and complain. I refuse to be a fair weather voter. I vote and I participate locally. I am very vocal to my local officials. I'm calling, I'm going up there, I'm attending commissioners' meetings because that's where things are voted on that truly impact things for my child, my health, and myself. So as I'm seeing this threat of violence, I can't wrap my mind around what's happening. Because I'm like, are we really so starstruck on these candidates that we're willing to destroy our very own homes and neighborhoods just in case the person that I like may or may not get in office? People, we gotta do better. We gotta wake up. Whatever your political views are, those are yours and yours alone. But don't ever let it get you to the point where you're willing to sacrifice your well-being, the well-being of other people, and your very life, because you didn't get your way. If a civil war breaks out and people are hurting and killing each other and tearing up their neighborhoods, how does that help your candidate? How does that help your cause? Think bigger than your feelings. I'm even going to say think bigger than your religious preference. I am a 100% sold out for Jesus Christ Christian. And based on the lip game of Republicans, they are what would be closer to my religious preference. Because Democrats are a little bit more liberal than your girl likes. For those who know me personally, that may be a shocker to you. It may not. But I have enough God-given sense to be able to vote beyond just my preference and vote what is right. But also, can't get caught up in these empty promises either. The Lord told us in His Word, we will know them by their fruit. I don't care what these candidates, red or blue side, their words are lovely, especially right now because they want to win. What is your track record? What have you been doing? And how have you been living that lines up with me as a Christian? Like I said, neither one of them are 100% my choice. But there have been some actions that there's no way as a Christian that I could say, oh, that's Christ-like, even though your mouth is saying something. But then in the next second, that same mouth is saying something totally contrary to what I believe. So to all my fellow brothers and sisters in Christ who are saying, I'm voting for this candidate because I'm voting for Christ. Don't put that on the Lord. You're voting how you want to vote. We as Christians, we have to be smarter and wiser because, yes, they may be saying all the right things, but their actions are contrary to what that very word says. And for the other side, the past things they said may have been so foul and vulgar, but look at their track record. Have they tried to redeem their past mistakes? Because we want to keep it 100%. If we were all judged based on our past, we would be, oh my God, in so much trouble. I thank God for grace, mercy, salvation through his son, Jesus Christ. Because I've done some things in my past. I've done some things probably this morning that would disqualify me based on that type of thinking and logic. Again, I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm saying whomever you choose to vote for, let it be more than you just like this person. Let it be more so because I'm wealthy and I want to protect my money. Let it be more so, well, he was friends with another political official that I really love, so he must be like this person. Vote because you're educated and you're well informed about both platforms and what they want to do. What are they capable of doing? What are they willing to do? One of the biggest things I try to look for with politicians, they're not going to have all the answers. They're not going to do everything right because they're human. But how do they recover from mistakes? Their ability to be flexible and shift. Their willingness to truly set their personal agenda aside and do what's truly best for the people that they swore to serve and protect through this office that they hold. As you all go out to vote, even as you just go out today, be safe, be wise. Don't be fearful, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but power, love, and sound mind. But don't go out there and underestimate the climate of today and these next couple of days to follow after this election. Protect your family, protect yourself, protect your peace. If you got to disconnect from social media and the television, radio, do whatever's necessary to protect your peace. You know, it's dark right now, but there's light at the end of this tunnel. I believe that. I do believe that trouble doesn't last always. So no matter how this narrative plays out, know that if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, you win. Stay strong, stay vigilant, stay involved. Don't go to sleep during this time. Don't take the easy route out. And don't be so emotional. Be wise, be equipped, be well-versed on the things that pertain to your community, your neighborhood, and your life. It's your girl, Sai Speaks. And I'm still excited, even in the midst of 2020, how it's played out. Because I know without a shadow of a doubt, in the end, I win. God bless you. I love you. Let's continue to be amazing on this journey we call life.